Ladies and gentlemen, I come before you today with a message that cannot wait. A message too urgent to ignore, too important to dismiss. If you hear nothing else today, hear this. There is a warning, a divine alarm that is ringing, and I plead with you, don't turn away. We are living in times of crisis. Look around you. Confusion, chaos, and destruction are sweeping across our world like a mighty flood. Families are crumbling, nations are at war, hearts are growing colder by the day. But the warning I bring to you today is not just about the world around you, it's about your soul. Jesus said, "What shall it profit a man if he gains the whole world but loses his own soul?" Mark 8:36. And my friends, there are millions today walking straight toward destruction, ignoring the warning signs God has placed before them. But today, in these next few minutes, I am asking you, no, I am begging you, don't neglect this warning. A life without God is like a ship lost at sea, drifting aimlessly with no compass, no direction, no hope of ever reaching the shore. People chase after success, money, fame, relationships, thinking that if they just get that one thing, then they will finally be happy. But no matter how much they achieve, no matter how much they acquire, there is still an emptiness inside them, a void that nothing in this world can fill. Have you ever wondered why some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in the world are also the most miserable? They have everything, mansions, cars, the applause of millions. But behind closed doors, they feel lost, broken, and alone. Because material things can never satisfy a spiritual hunger. The human heart was created for something greater. It was created for God. Look at the world today. People are more connected than ever through technology, yet they feel more alone. They scroll endlessly through social media, comparing their lives to others, believing the lie that if they just had what someone else has, they would be happy. But no amount of likes, no number of followers can ever replace the deep need for God in the human soul. Think about a man who spends his entire life working, building his business, chasing after wealth. He sacrifices time with his family, his health, even his own peace of mind, because he believes that once he reaches a certain financial goal, then he can finally rest. But the day comes when he has all the money he ever dreamed of, and yet he still feels empty. He thought success would bring him fulfillment, but instead he lies awake at night wondering why he still feels like something is missing. But think about a woman who believes that the love of another person will complete her. She goes from one relationship to another, giving her heart away time and time again, hoping that this time it will be different. But each time the excitement fades, the person changes, and she is left heartbroken, wondering why love always seems to let her down. Because no human being can fill the place in our hearts that only God was meant to fill. Some try to numb the emptiness with entertainment, with distractions, with pleasure. They pour themselves into parties, drinking, drugs, thinking that if they can just escape reality for a little while, they won't have to face the truth. But when the night is over, when the music fades, when the crowd is gone, they are left with nothing but regret and the same hollow feeling they were trying to avoid. People say, I don't need God, I can handle life on my own. But the truth is, without God, life will always feel like a puzzle with a missing piece. It doesn't matter how much you accomplish, how much you own, how many people know your name. If your soul is empty, nothing else matters. You see, life without God is like trying to run a race with no finish line. It's like climbing a ladder that leads to nowhere. It's like drinking salt water, thinking it will quench your thirst, only to find that it leaves you more parched than before. Look at King Solomon, one of the wisest and richest men who ever lived. He had everything: palaces, gold, power, women, knowledge. He had what most people could only dream of. But at the end of his life, do you know what he said? He said, everything is meaningless, a chasing after the wind, because he realized that without God, none of it mattered. How many times have you heard about celebrities, athletes, successful businessmen, people who seemed to have it all, yet they fell into depression, addiction, even took their own lives? because the things of this world can never bring lasting joy. They may satisfy for a moment, but the moment always fades. The thrill of success, the excitement of new possessions, the rush of attention, it all disappears like a vapor, leaving behind only an aching soul. But here's the most dangerous part. Many people don't even realize they are lost. They live their lives so caught up in the distractions of this world that they don't stop long enough to ask themselves, what am I really living for? They chase after the next promotion, the next relationship, the next high, always believing that fulfillment is just around the corner, but they never reach it. Because apart from God, there is no true fulfillment. Maybe you've felt it before, that deep, unshakable feeling that there has to be more to life than this, that no matter what you do, something is still missing. That's because your soul was designed for something eternal. Imagine a phone that has every app, every feature, the latest technology, but no battery. It looks good, it seems complete, but without power, it's useless. That's what a life without God is like. You can have all the external things, but if you are spiritually empty, none of it will ever work the way it was meant to. And yet, so many people ignore this truth. They keep running, keep striving, keep searching in all the wrong places, hoping that something, anything, will finally make them feel whole. But they are like a traveler lost in the desert, dying of thirst, chasing after mirages, thinking they have found water, only to realize it was never there. A life without God is not just empty, it is dangerous. Because when trouble comes, when hardship strikes, when everything you've built starts to crumble, where will you turn? If your hope is in money, what happens when the economy crashes? If your hope is in people, what happens when they let you down? If your hope is in yourself, what happens when you reach the end of your strength? There is only one who can fill the emptiness, only one who can give true peace, only one who can satisfy the hunger of the human soul. There is a danger greater than any storm, more destructive than any fire, and more deceptive than any lie. It is the danger of a hardened heart. A hardened heart does not happen overnight. It happens little by little, moment by moment, choice by choice, until one day the voice of God that was once so clear becomes nothing more than a distant whisper. Think of a candle when it is first lit. The wax is soft, moldable, easily shaped. But as time passes, as the flame continues to burn, the wax hardens. It becomes stiff, unmovable. That is exactly what happens to the human heart when it continually rejects the voice of God. A child is born with a heart that is open, innocent, ready to believe. Watch a little child when they look up at the sky, wide-eyed with wonder. They see the stars, the mountains, the ocean, and they instinctively know there is something greater than themselves. But as people grow older, the world teaches them to doubt, to question, to push God away. At first, the conviction is strong. The first time a person does something wrong, they feel it deeply. Guilt, remorse, the inner voice saying, this is not right. But if they ignore that voice, if they push it away, it becomes quieter the next time, and quieter the next, until one day they can sin without a second thought, without any feeling at all. That is the danger of a hardened heart. Look at Pharaoh in the Bible. God sent Moses to deliver a message, let my people go. But Pharaoh hardened his heart. He saw miracles. Water turned to blood, frogs covering the land, plagues beyond anything the world had seen, but still he refused to listen. Every time he said no to God, his heart grew colder until finally his pride led to his destruction. How many times has God tried to get your attention, maybe through a sermon, through a friend, through a moment where you felt deep inside that God was calling you, but instead of responding, you brushed it off. You said, maybe later. You got distracted, busy, too caught up in life. Imagine a man standing outside in the freezing cold. The first few minutes he shivers. He feels the sting of the icy wind on his skin. But if he stays long enough, something terrifying happens. He stops feeling it. His body becomes numb. That is exactly what happens to the human soul when it continues to ignore God. Some people think they are fine because they still go to church. They still say all the right things, but inside their hearts have become like stone. They hear the truth, but it doesn't move them anymore. But the words have lost their meaning. They know what is right, but they no longer care. Have you ever seen a road that has been traveled on for years? The ground is no longer soft. It has been packed down, hardened by footsteps, by wheels, by constant pressure. That is what happens to a heart that keeps saying no to God. Every rejection, every excuse, every moment of delaying the truth makes it harder and harder for that heart to be changed. The most terrifying thing about a hardened heart is that the person often doesn't even realize it is happening. They think, I'm fine. They think I'll get right with God later. But what they don't understand is that the longer they wait, the more difficult it becomes. Think of wet cement. When it is first poured, you can shape it, move it, leave your handprint in it. But wait too long, and it becomes solid, permanent, unable to be changed. That is what happens to a person who ignores God's voice for too long. It doesn't always happen in dramatic ways. Sometimes it happens through simple compromises. A little lie here, a little sin there, a little justifying, saying it's not that bad, and before they know it, their heart has built up layer after layer of resistance against the truth. The world is filled with distractions, money, entertainment, relation success, things that keep people so busy that they don't even notice their hearts growing cold. They get so caught up in life that they don't realize they are slowly drifting further and further from God. Imagine being on a boat in the ocean. At first you are close to the shore. You can still see it. But you close your eyes for just a moment, relax for just a little while, and when you open your eyes again, you are miles away from where you started. You didn't notice the current pulling you. You didn't feel the slow drift. But now the land is far in the distance. That is what happens to a hardened heart. It starts with one excuse, one moment of saying, not today, one moment of pushing away that feeling of conviction, and before you know it, years have passed and you are far from where you once were. People often say, I'll come to God when I'm ready. But the truth is, if you keep pushing Him away, the day may come when you no longer hear His call at all. Life is a vapor, a fleeting moment, a breath that appears and then vanishes. Yet people live as if they have all the time in the world. They plan for tomorrow, for next year, for decades ahead, never stopping to realize that tomorrow is never guaranteed. Every day people wake up thinking they have another chance, another opportunity, another moment, but in an instant everything can change. Look around you. The news is filled with stories of people who thought they had years ahead of them, only to be gone in a heartbeat. A man leaves his house in the morning, kisses his wife goodbye, expecting to return in the evening, but he never makes it home. A young woman full of dreams and ambition gets into her car thinking she has a lifetime ahead of her, only to take her last breath on the road. A healthy person with no signs of sickness suddenly collapses, their heart stopping without warning. Life is fragile, yet people live as if they are invincible. Think about a sand timer with grains of sand slipping through one by one. Each grain represents a moment of your life, and with every passing second, more sand falls. The terrifying truth is this: you don't know how much sand is left. You don't know when the last grain will fall, and when it does, there will be no more time to change. No more time to make things right. No more time to go back. People procrastinate when it comes to the most important decision of their lives. They say, I'll get serious about life later. I'll think about God when I'm older. I have plenty of time. But time is not promised to anyone. The graveyards are filled with people who thought they had more time. The morgues hold the bodies of those who had plans for next week. The truth is, death does not send a warning. It does not wait for you to be ready. It comes like a thief in the night, unexpected, unannounced, and when it arrives, there is no turning back. Have you ever watched a candle burn? The flame flickers, casting light in the darkness, but little by little, the wax melts away. Eventually, without warning, the flame dies out. That is life. One moment you are here, living, breathing, making plans, and the next moment, the light goes out. No one can escape it. No one can outrun it. No amount of money, power, or success can buy another second when your time is up. People live as if they are untouchable. They chase after success, after wealth, after pleasure, thinking that if they can just achieve their dreams, they will have a full life. But what does it matter if you gain everything and lose your soul? What good is a bank account full of money if your life ends before you can spend it? What good is a house filled with luxury if death comes knocking at your door? There was a man who spent his entire life building his business, working late hours, sacrificing time with his family, thinking, one day I'll slow down, one day I'll enjoy my life, but one day never came. The night before he was set to retire, he closed his eyes and never woke up. His entire life was spent preparing for a future he never lived to see. A young woman had dreams of traveling the world. She said, I'll go after I finish school. I'll go after I get the right job. I'll go after I settle down. But time passed and she kept delaying. And then in a single moment, an illness took hold of her body, leaving her unable to move, unable to travel, unable to do the things she thought she had years to accomplish. She had spent her whole life waiting for the right time, and before she knew it, her time was gone. Every second that passes is a second you can never get back. People waste years holding grudges, living in bitterness, refusing to forgive as if they have eternity to make things right. They push people away, thinking they can always apologize later. But what if later never comes? How many people have stood by a coffin wishing they had just one more moment to say, I love you, or I'm sorry? Imagine you are standing on a train platform and a train is approaching. You hear the whistle, you see the lights, you know it is coming, but instead of getting ready, you turn away, distracted, busy, telling yourself, I'll get on the next one. But suddenly the doors close, the train pulls away, and you are left standing there realizing too late that there is no next train. That is how life is. The final moment is coming for everyone, yet so many are too distracted to prepare. People live as if they are writing their own story, thinking they can turn the pages at their own pace. But they forget only God knows the number of pages in their book. Some stories are long, some are short, but all have an ending. And when the final chapter is written, there is no going back, no rewriting, no second chances. Life is not measured by how much you own, by how famous you are, by how many years you live. It is measured by what you do with the time you are given. Some people live 80 years but waste them all. Others live 20 years but make every moment count. The difference is not in the number of days, but in how those days are used. A ticking clock does not stop. Every tick is a moment closer to the end. Every breath is one less breath you will take. The question is not, when will my time run out? The question is, what am I doing with the time I have? There is a day coming, a day that no one can escape, a day that every soul will face, the day of judgment. People go about their lives as if this day will never come. They wake up, go to work, chase their dreams, and make plans for the future. But they forget that one day they will stand before the Almighty, and every deed, every thought, every word will be laid bare before Him. People live as if there is no accountability, as if their actions have no consequences. They think they can do whatever they please, and that the only judgment they will face is the opinion of others. But opinions do not matter when eternity is at stake. The applause of the world means nothing when you are standing before the throne of God. Imagine a courtroom, a judge sitting high above and a man standing before him. The evidence is clear. The witnesses have spoken. The verdict is about to be given. That man cannot talk his way out of it. He cannot bribe the judge. He cannot escape the judgment that is coming. That is how it will be on the final day. No excuses. No second chances, no hiding behind wealth, status, or power. Every person will stand alone. It will not matter how many people respected you, how many followers you had, how successful you were. The only thing that will matter is whether your name is written in the book of life. Think about this. If you were to die tonight and stand before God, what would He say? Would He welcome you with open arms, or would He say, "Depart from me, I never knew you"? People prepare for everything in life, exams, careers, retirement, but they do not prepare for eternity. They insure their homes, their cars, their health, but they do not insure their souls. They make sure they have financial security, but they ignore the only security that truly matters. A businessman spends his whole life accumulating wealth. He builds his empire, he invests wisely, he secures his future. But in a moment, his heart stops beating. And as he stands before God, all his money, all his success, all his investments mean nothing, because on that day, the only thing that will matter is the state of his soul. A young woman spends her life seeking approval, trying to please people, trying to be accepted. She does everything she can to fit in, to be loved by the world, but the world never truly satisfies. And one day, when she takes her final breath, all the opinions of others, all the compliments, all the applause fade into nothing, because on that day, the only opinion that matters is God's. Think about a student who has an important exam. The teacher warns the class, this test will determine your future. You must prepare. Some students take it seriously. They study, they work hard, they make sure they are ready. But others ignore the warning. They assume they have time. They assume it will be easy. And when the day of the exam arrives, the ones who prepared are confident, but the ones who ignored the warning are filled with regret. Judgment Day is the final exam, and there will be no retakes, no makeup tests, no extra time. People live as if they have control over their destiny, but they forget that their lives are in God's hands. They mock His word, they reject His truth, they live as if they will never have to answer for their actions. But on that day, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that He is Lord. Even those who denied Him, even those who mocked Him, even those who refused to believe, on that day they will know the truth. But for many, it will be too late. A farmer goes out to plant seeds. He works hard, he waters the soil, he does everything he can to prepare for the harvest. But another man is careless. He ignores the fields, he does not plant, he does not prepare. And when the harvest season comes, the first man reaps a great reward, but the second man has nothing. Judgment is the great harvest. Those who have lived for God, who have obeyed His word, who have walked in His ways, they will reap eternal life. But those who have ignored Him, rejected Him, lived for themselves, they will reap destruction. The world tells you to live for yourself, to do whatever makes you happy, to follow your heart. But the heart is deceitful, and happiness in this world is fleeting. The world tells you there is no judgment, that you can live however you please without consequences, but that is the greatest lie of all. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and every thought you have ever had, every action you have ever done, every secret you have ever kept is displayed for all to see. On Judgment Day, there will be no hiding. Everything will be revealed. The sins done in darkness will be brought into the light. The words spoken in secret will be shouted from the rooftops. People think they can fool God. They go to church, they say the right things, they play the part. But God sees the heart. He is not fooled by appearances. He is not impressed by religious performances. He looks at the heart and He will judge accordingly. The books will be opened. Every deed, every moment, every opportunity, accepted or rejected, will be recorded. And when that moment comes, there will be no negotiating, no excuses, no pleading for more time. The judgment will be final. The verdict will be eternal. A house built on sand may stand for a while, but when the storm comes, it collapses. A house built on a solid foundation stands firm no matter how strong the winds blow. Your life is either built on the shifting sand of this world or on the solid rock of truth. And when the storm of judgment comes, only those who are anchored in Him will stand. There is a danger greater than any physical threat, a deception more subtle than any lie, and a trap more deadly than any pitfall. It is the danger of a false sense of security. So many people walk through life believing they are safe, thinking they have everything under control, assuming they have plenty of time. They trust in their own strength, in their money, in their achievements, in their relationships, in their routines. But what happens when the ground beneath them suddenly collapses? What happens when everything they thought was secure is stripped away in an instant? A man builds his life like a house on sand. He spends years accumulating wealth, investing in businesses, securing his future. He has the best insurance, the strongest locks on his doors, the most well thought out plans. He feels untouchable. But then one day, without warning, a single moment changes everything. A crash in the stock market wipes out his fortune. A sudden illness steals his health. A tragic accident takes away the person he loves most. And in that moment he realizes his security was an illusion. He was standing on sinking sand all along. People trust in their health, thinking they have years ahead of them. They go to the gym, they eat the right foods, they take all the necessary precautions, but then they sit in a doctor's office, hearing words they never expected. "I'm sorry, but you don't have much time left." In that moment, all their careful planning, all their efforts, all their confidence in their own strength means nothing, because the one thing they were never prepared for is now staring them in the face. People trust in their relationships, believing certain people will always be there. They take their loved ones for granted, assuming they will have time to fix broken bonds, to say the words they've left unsaid. But then in an instant, someone is gone. A phone call in the middle of the night. A tragedy no one saw coming, and suddenly they are left with nothing but regret, wishing they had valued what truly mattered before it was too late. The world teaches people to put their security in temporary things. They trust in jobs, in fame, in education, in social status. They think, as long as I have these things, I'll be fine. But when the storm comes, when life shakes them to their core, they find that all those things were nothing more than a house of cards. One gust of wind and it all comes crashing down. There was a great ship once, built with the strongest materials, designed to be unsinkable. The engineers, the designers, the crew all believed that nothing could bring it down. People boarded it with confidence, trusting that they were safe. But on a quiet night, an iceberg tore through its side, and within hours, the Titanic was at the bottom of the ocean. That is exactly how life is. People walk around with false confidence, thinking they are secure, until one unexpected moment rips through their illusion, and they are left drowning with no escape. How many people live with a false sense of spiritual security? They think, I'm a good person. I don't hurt anyone. I go to church sometimes. I believe in God. They assume that because they say the right words or do a few good deeds, they are safe. But being close to the truth is not the same as living in the truth. Knowing about God is not the same as knowing God. And on the final day, many will hear the most terrifying words ever spoken. "Depart from me. I never knew you." A student walks into an exam room confident he will pass. He has the right books, he has been in class, he has seen the material before, but he never actually studied. He never took the time to truly prepare. And when he sees the test in front of him, reality sets in. He was not ready. That is how so many people are with their souls. They have heard the truth, they have been around it, they think they know enough to get by, but when they stand before God, they will realize too late that they never truly prepared for what mattered most. A man is walking through a desert, thirsty, desperate for water. In the distance he sees an oasis, a beautiful pool of water shining in the sun. He runs towards it with everything he has, believing that it will save him, but when he reaches out to drink, his hands grasp at nothing. It was only a mirage, an illusion, a cruel trick of the desert. That is exactly what a false sense of security does. It makes people believe they are safe when they are actually in danger. It keeps them comfortable while leading them to destruction. The most dangerous thing about a false sense of security is that it blinds people to the truth. It makes them ignore warnings, push aside conviction, delay important decisions. They keep telling themselves, I'll get serious about God later. I have plenty of time to change. I'll fix my life one day. But what if that day never comes? A storm does not wait for you to build a stronger house. A fire does not wait for you to install an escape route. An earthquake does not wait for you to secure the foundation. And judgment will not wait for you to finally take things seriously. People spend their lives securing everything except the one thing that truly matters, their soul. They insure their cars, but not their eternity. They protect their homes, but not their hearts. They make backup plans for everything except where they will spend forever. And when the final moment comes, When the illusion of security is stripped away, there will be no more time to fix it. People always think they have more time. They wake up in the morning assuming they will see the sunset. They make plans for tomorrow, for next year, for the future, without ever stopping to ask themselves, what if tomorrow never comes? They push off the most important decisions of life, telling themselves, I'll do it later. But later is never promised. Later is a lie that keeps people trapped in a cycle of delay until it's too late. How many dreams have died because of delay? How many opportunities have been lost because someone said, not now? How many souls have slipped into eternity still saying, I'll change one day? Delay is the thief of time. It robs people of their potential. It steals their purpose, and worst of all, it can cost them their eternity. Imagine a man who is standing outside a burning house. The flames are growing, the smoke is thick, and he hears the warning, get out now! But instead of running, he says, I have time. I'll wait a little longer. Minute by minute, the fire spreads, and before he knows it, the exit is blocked. The chance to escape is gone. This is exactly how so many people live their lives. They see the warning signs, they hear the call, but they keep delaying until the door of opportunity closes forever. A student sits in a classroom, and the teacher gives a deadline for a major project. The student thinks, I have plenty of time. Day after day, he ignores the work, convinced that tomorrow will always be there, but the deadline does not move. And on the final day, when he realizes he has done nothing, panic sets in. He scrambles, but it's too late. He failed. Not because he couldn't do the work, but because he delayed. Life has a deadline too, and no one knows when it will come. Yet people keep putting off what matters most, as if the final moment will wait for them. People delay forgiveness. They hold grudges, waiting for the right moment to say, I'm sorry, or I forgive you. They assume they will have time to fix broken relationships. But what if the person they need to reconcile with is gone tomorrow? How many people have stood by a gravesite filled with regret, wishing they had not waited? People delay purpose. They know deep down they are meant for something greater, that God has called them to a higher life. But they keep saying, one day I'll start, one day I'll answer the call. But one day turns into 10 years, and before they know it, their time is gone. The graveyard is full of untapped potential, full of people who could have done something great, but they delayed until they had no time left. People delay their relationship with God. They know they need to turn to Him. They feel the conviction in their hearts, but they keep pushing it aside. I'll get serious about God later. I'll start reading my Bible next year. I'll surrender my life to Him when I'm older. But what if later never comes? What if the chance they thought they had is gone in an instant? The Bible says today is the day of salvation, not tomorrow, not next week, not when it's more convenient. Today. A man sits in a train station waiting for his ride. The announcement comes. Final call. The train is leaving. But he is distracted, busy with his phone, assuming there will be another train soon. The doors close, and only then does he realize he missed it. He was right there, but he let the moment slip by. This is how so many people treat the call of God. They are right there at the edge of change, at the moment of decision, but they delay, and when they finally realize what they have lost, it is too late. A farmer has a field ready for planting. The season is perfect, the weather is right, but he says, I'll start tomorrow. The next day he says the same thing, and again, but then the season changes and the opportunity is gone. No matter how much he wishes he had acted sooner, it is too late. The harvest he could have had is lost, not because he didn't have a chance, but because he delayed. How many people are waiting for the perfect moment to change? Waiting for the perfect moment to start, waiting for the perfect moment to make things right, but the perfect moment never comes. There will always be distractions, there will always be excuses, there will always be a reason to wait. But waiting is dangerous, because one day time will run out. The rich fool in the Bible thought he had all the time in the world. He said to himself, I have plenty stored up. I'll take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. But that very night, his soul was required of him. He had everything except more time. People live like they will never die. They push away the thought of eternity, thinking they will deal with it later. But death does not wait for a convenient time. It does not check your schedule. It comes when you least expect it. And when that moment arrives, no one will be able to say, give me one more chance. Every second that passes is a second you will never get back. Every opportunity ignored is an opportunity that may never come again. Delay is not just wasting time, it is risking everything. And the most dangerous part, you never know when your last chance will be. There is a voice calling out to you. It is not the voice of judgment, not the voice of condemnation, not the voice of a harsh master. It is the voice of love. A love so deep, so vast, so relentless, that it has been pursuing you since the day you took your first breath. It is the voice of a God who created you, who formed you, who has been reaching for you even when you have been running from Him. People spend their lives searching for love, for meaning, for something to fill the emptiness inside them. They chase after relationships, after money, after success, thinking that these things will satisfy. But no matter how much they achieve, no matter how much they gain, something is still missing. They lie awake at night feeling the weight of loneliness, feeling the ache of a heart that was made for something more. And all along there is a voice whispering, come to me. A child lost in a crowded street cries out for help, looking around for someone familiar, someone who knows their name. Then through the noise they hear the voice of their father calling. And in that moment everything changes. That voice brings comfort, brings safety, brings direction. That is what the voice of God does. In the middle of the chaos, in the middle of the confusion, His voice calls out, I am here, come home. But the tragedy is, so many ignore that voice. They hear it in the quiet moments, in the depths of their soul, but they push it aside. They distract themselves with entertainment, with noise, with the busyness of life. They keep running, believing they have time. But the voice of God is not just calling, it is warning. Because the longer you ignore it, the harder it becomes to hear. A man is walking through the forest as the sun begins to set. He is far from the path, but in the distance he hears someone calling his name, guiding him back before the darkness falls. At first the voice is clear, strong, but he ignores it. He assumes he can find his own way. Step by step, he moves deeper into the woods. The voice calls again, but he is too distracted to listen. Then suddenly the night falls, the voice is gone, the way back is lost. That is what happens to the heart that keeps turning away from God. The voice that once spoke so clearly begins to fade, not because God stops calling, but because the heart becomes too hardened to hear. People think they can wait. They think they will turn to God when they are ready, when it's convenient, when they have finished doing what they want to do. But what if the call stops? What if the chance to respond is gone? A father stands at the door, waiting for his child to come home. Every night he leaves the light on, hoping, praying. He sends messages, he reaches out, but the child ignores them, thinking, I'll come back when I'm ready. But one day the door is shut. The time to return is over. This is the warning of a loving God. He is calling, but He will not force you. He is waiting, but one day the waiting will end. Think about the lengths He has gone to just to reach you. He has protected you in moments you didn't even realize. He has given you chances you did not deserve. He has placed people in your life to remind you of His love. He has spoken through circumstances, through blessings, through hardships. Through everything He has been calling. A young woman drowns herself in temporary pleasures, thinking she can find happiness in the world. She feels empty, but she keeps chasing the next thrill, the next distraction. But one night she sits alone and suddenly she feels it. That deep longing, that ache in her soul. And for the first time she listens. She remembers the moments when God was reaching for her, the times she brushed it off. And in that moment she realizes He never stopped calling. He never gave up on her. A man stands at the edge of a cliff looking at the world he has built for himself. He has everything: wealth, success, admiration. But when he looks inside, he feels nothing but emptiness. He remembers the days when he was younger, when he felt God near, when he used to pray, when he used to believe. But life got busy, his heart got cold, and now he wonders, can I still go back? The answer has always been yes. The voice is still calling. The love of God never stopped pursuing him. How many times has God reached for you? How many moments in your life have been whispers from him? Reminders that he is near. But how many times have you brushed it off, telling yourself, I'll listen later? A person lost in a burning building hears the voice of a firefighter calling out, follow me, I'll lead you to safety. But instead of running towards the voice, they hesitate. They are afraid to leave what they know. They are afraid to step into the unknown, and while they wait, the fire grows stronger. That hesitation, that delay, that fear, it keeps so many people from responding to the call of God. They are afraid of change, afraid to leave behind their old life, afraid of what it might cost them. But the cost of staying in the fire is far greater than the cost of following the voice that leads to life. A shepherd has 100 sheep, but one goes missing. He leaves the 99 to go after the one. He searches, calling its name, looking in the darkest places, refusing to give up, and when he finally finds it, he carries it home with joy. That is the heart of God. No matter how far you have gone, no matter how lost you feel, he is still calling your name. Some people think they are too far gone. They believe they have ignored him for too long, that he has given up on them. But the very fact that they can still hear his voice, that they still feel that pull in their heart, that is proof that it is not too late. But do not mistake his patience for permission to keep running. The call is urgent. The love is relentless. But the time to respond is now, because one day the door will close, the call will end, and only those who answer will be safe in his arms. There is a warning that shakes the soul, a warning that wakes people up from their sleep, a warning that sounds like thunder in the middle of a silent night. But this warning is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to save you. It is the kind of warning that leads to hope, the kind of warning that pulls you back from the edge before you fall, the kind of warning that says there is still time, but you must act now. A man is driving late at night on a winding road, speeding through the darkness. Up ahead, the bridge has collapsed, but before he reaches the edge, someone waves him down, frantically shouting, "Stop! Turn around, there is danger ahead." He has a choice. He can ignore the warning and keep going, or he can listen and be saved. That warning is not there to control him, not there to ruin his plans, but to give him life. This is how the warnings of God work. They are not shackles, they are rescue lines. Some people fear warnings. They think warnings mean judgment, that they mean punishment, but a warning is a sign of love. When a parent tells their child, don't touch the fire, it's not to take away their fun, it's to protect them from pain. When a lifeguard blows the whistle at the beach, it's not to ruin someone's swim, it's to save them from being pulled into the deep. The warnings of God are the same. They are not given to harm you, but to lead you to safety. A young man is walking toward a cliff, distracted by his phone, unaware that with one more step he will fall. A stranger sees him, calls out, "Watch out, stop!" At first the young man is annoyed. He doesn't like being told what to do, but then he looks up and realizes he was just inches away from disaster. That one warning saved his life. There are moments in life where warnings come not as punishments, but as second chances. The sickness that wakes a person up to how fragile life is. The heartbreak that makes them realize they were chasing the wrong things. The financial loss that teaches them not to put their trust in money. These moments feel painful, but sometimes they are the greatest gifts because they force people to turn back before it's too late. A businessman is obsessed with success. He works day and night, ignoring his family, pushing aside his health, forgetting his purpose. Then one day, his heart gives out. He wakes up in a hospital bed, realizing how close he came to losing everything. He could see that moment as a tragedy, or he could see it as a warning, a wake-up call to live differently. Warnings are often disguised as setbacks, but in reality, they are second chances dressed in difficulty. Some warnings come through people. A friend saying you're going down the wrong path. A parent pleading, please don't make this mistake. A pastor preaching, turn back while you still can. But too often, people brush these warnings aside. They get defensive, they get angry, they refuse to listen. But what if that warning was the very thing that was meant to save them? A house is on fire and a firefighter rushes inside shouting, "Get out, follow me!" The people inside have two choices. They can argue saying, "We don't see the fire yet, so we don't believe it's real." Or they can trust the warning and escape before it's too late. That is the same choice every person must make when they hear the voice of God calling them to turn back, to surrender, to choose a different path. A warning does not mean it's over. It means there is still time. The moment you hear the warning, you are not yet lost. The moment you feel the conviction, it is not too late. The worst place to be is not in a position where you need to change. The worst place to be is when you no longer hear the warning at all. A man is caught in a storm and he sees a lighthouse in the distance, calling him to safety. That lighthouse is not a sign of restriction, not a demand to control his life, but a beacon of hope saying, "Come this way and you will be safe." God's warnings are the same. They do not condemn, they lead to rescue. Many people resist warnings because they think it means they are beyond hope. They believe that if they need to change, it must mean they have failed. But that is the great deception, because the very fact that you can still hear the warning means there is still hope. The very fact that your heart is still moved means that God is still calling you, still reaching for you, still giving you another chance. A prisoner sits in his cell waiting for judgment. He has accepted his fate. He believes there is no way out. But then a guard comes with a key saying, there is still a way for you to be free. He has a choice. He can stay in his cell and accept his sentence, or he can walk out into the freedom that has been given to him. That is exactly how the warnings of God work. They do not tell you that you are doomed. They tell you that freedom is still possible. A person drowning in the ocean sees a lifeboat coming toward them. A voice calls out, "Take my hand." They could say, "I don't deserve to be saved." They could say, "I should have never gone this far," but none of that changes the fact that the boat is still there, that the hand is still reaching. The only thing that matters is whether or not they take it. Warnings are not the end of the story. Warnings are the beginning of a new chapter. They mean that hope is still alive, that change is still possible, that there is still a way out. They mean that the door is still open, but you must walk through it before it closes. As we stand here today, the truth has been laid bare before us. The warnings, the calls, the cries for us to change, to choose a different path, are not meant to weigh us down or discourage us. They are meant to elevate us, to awaken us, to ignite the fire of purpose within us. The world may try to tell you that you have time, that there is always another day to make the decision, to change, to grow. But here's the truth: time waits for no one. The clock is ticking. Every second that passes is a moment you'll never get back. Every opportunity you ignore is a chance that could be lost forever. But I'm here to tell you that it is not too late. It's never too late to begin again. There is always a moment in life when you decide that today is the day. It could be a moment of clarity in the middle of your darkest hour, or it could be the whisper of hope in a sea of despair. But know this: the power to change your story is in your hands. The moment you decide to take a different path, to listen to the voice that calls you higher, to accept the invitation of hope and redemption, that is the moment that changes everything. We all have an innate desire to succeed, to make a mark, to leave behind a legacy that is meaningful. But success is not about how high you climb, how much you achieve, or how many accolades you collect. Success is found in the choices you make in the face of challenge, in the courage you summon when the road gets tough, and in the willingness to take the leap of faith even when the path ahead seems uncertain. It's about having the strength to say, I will not remain where I am. I will not stay stuck in a cycle of delay, of fear, of hesitation. I will move forward because I know that with every step I am becoming who I was meant to be. There is greatness within you. The world may try to tell you otherwise. It may make you believe that your past mistakes define you, or that your circumstances will always hold you back. But I'm here to remind you, your past is not your future. You are not bound by the mistakes you've made, the things you wish you had done differently. You are bound only by the limits you place on yourself. The moment you decide that you are more than the sum of your failures, that's the moment when your true potential begins to unfold. We all have battles to fight, storms to weather, mountains to climb, but the greatest battles are not fought in the external world, they are fought within. The fight is within your mind, within your heart, within your spirit. Do you have the courage to rise up after you've fallen? Do you have the strength to move forward when every part of you says, I can't go on? That is the true measure of success. The ability to rise again and again, no matter the setbacks, no matter the trials, no matter the pain. So I ask you now, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for to take that first step towards change? What are you waiting for to say enough is enough? I will not waste any more time. I will not live in fear or delay. I will take the leap of faith. Remember, nothing worth having comes easy. The road to success, to transformation, to greatness is never a straight line. It's full of detours, obstacles, and challenges. But the reward is worth every ounce of effort. Because when you decide to take that first step, when you decide to say, I will not be held back anymore, the universe will begin to align with you. Doors that were once closed will begin to open. Opportunities you never imagined will come your way. And most importantly, you will discover a strength within you that you never knew existed. The world needs you to rise. It needs your gifts, your talents, your heart. Don't waste another moment wondering what could have been. The best time to change is now. The best time to begin is now. And the best time to become the person you were always meant to be is now. So rise up, take that step, and let the world see the greatness that lies within you, because the best version of you is waiting to be unleashed. Don't wait for the storm to pass. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Step into the storm and make it your moment. The warnings that have been given to you, take them not as burdens, but as beacons of light guiding you toward the future you are meant to live. The choice is yours. The opportunity is now. Will you rise? Will you answer the call? Will you step into the greatness that awaits you? The time is now. Seize it and make it yours.